Hello and welcome to today's Digital Dealer webinar. Today's webinar is sponsored by AutoLeadStar and is titled How to Actually Grab a Visitor's Attention in the Distracted Digital World. Today's webinar presenter is Shaya David, Head of Client Services at AutoLeadStar. The webinar will run approximately 1 hour with a question and answer session at the end. Please help me welcome Shaya David.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much, Santos, and everybody at Digital Dealer for having me. I'm excited to be able to talk to you guys today about something that I think many of us in the space can relate to. There's a lot out there right now with tools and technology and solutions, and it's just as important to discuss how to make sense of all that. So that's sort of what we're here to present today. How to actually grab a visitor's attention in a distracted world. So I'll begin by putting out a statistic and some data that most of us are aware of, and if you're not, it's quite important to pay close attention to. People are shopping online more. They're buying their cars and certainly shopping for several other things, but in this space, they're spending more and more time online, and it's not uncommon for people to spend at least 12.5 hours, the latest data shows, researching and shopping for their next vehicle. This is up from a few years ago, and every indication we have is that this will continue to increase. The amount of time that people spend online when shopping and researching for their next vehicle is only going to grow. So this is sort of the backdrop of where we find ourselves today, and it's the backdrop and context of what I think is an important discussion about how people interact on dealership websites. Another important fact to note is 83% of new vehicle internet shoppers have gone to at least one dealership website. So for all the dealers out there listening right now, most of the people you've sold a car to have been to your website. It is not a separate process or a separate entity. It's very much an extension of their entire experience at your dealership. In fact, 75% of those people ended up buying a car from the dealership website, or I should say they bought a car from the dealership website they ended up actually coming through on. So it's important to note that the process is an extension. It starts on the website and it ends in your showroom. So we got to start on the right foot. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that we don't have a distracted digital environment. So let's dive into that and talk a little bit about what I mean. So here, Benjamin's Auto. This is a dummy site, but it should be familiar to several of you out there. Like most of the dealership websites, we at this point have well-built sites, beautiful pictures, lots of interesting information. People are going to come and then very suddenly be introduced to several different widgets and plugins and scroll-ups and extra information that appears on a page that is meant to enhance the buying experience, that is meant to provide sometimes information or services, but it can feel a little overwhelming. You can see going back and forth, the page can quickly become crowded. This is what we're calling the distracted digital environment. Many of your sites, if you're a dealership right now, many of your sites are going to look something like this. So I know that this is it's a concern, it's an important conversation several of us are having right now. So let's sort of spell out the problems here and go over some solutions so we understand the landscape and where we can go from here. One of the largest, most obvious problems is what we just saw. There's this fight for real estate, right? We all have these great-looking websites, but above the fold, you have, depending on the size screen of your website visitors, you have like 12 to 14 inches in front of someone's face, and that's if they're on an actual computer and not a mobile device. And then on top of that, you have tons of other tools that are in the space, on the page, sometimes blocking important information and sometimes just distracting people. right there on the page, in addition to the valuable car data that the dealership is trying to provide. And then, of course, what everybody is familiar with, another problem these days is that people just have shorter attention spans. I'm sure right now, at this moment, several of you are not only listening and watching this webinar, but you have 4 other tabs open on your browser. You probably have your phone in front of you. Maybe you're texting. You may have some kids on you. You may have a boss popping his head in the door telling you something. We do a lot, and there are a lot of tools and distractions that, for better or worse, are part of somebody's experience when they are on your website. Another common problem, and I call this the fight for common sense. I mean, we see sometimes on the dealership websites the same type of engagements, pricing specials, sign-ups, quotes, pre-qual form. I mean, there are a lot of things out there on a website, and potentially your website is showing the same engagements to the same type of person, even the same person, every time they come to your website. So it can get not just overwhelming, not just distracting, but the worst case here is annoying. So what these problems are is real and acute, and it's something that it was a conversation 5 years ago. How can we enhance our website? How can we add more tools? And now the conversation has pivoted, instead of how can we get more out of our website, and how can we make sure the user experience is actually put up front, so that we're not just using valuable tools, but providing a valuable experience. So fighting for real estate, fighting for attention, and fighting for just common sense engagement is something that I think a lot of dealership websites and internet and marketing departments are considering right now and trying to find solutions for. So don't worry, there are solutions. There are different ways to go about this, and we're going to talk about a few of them right now. So let's start with what I like to call moments of focus. This really speaks to some of the core of what we can consider a distracted environment. This could be the one-for-one type of answer that we need to consider very strongly. What do I mean by a moment of focus? I'm not just talking about Zen and yoga. I mean, I'm really actually speaking about a particular way to engage someone on your website. So focusing a shopper's attention with something that's not distracting, perhaps an offer or some sort of promotion that appears on top of all the noise. Now, when I say here a blackout screen, this is a way, or a whiteout screen, this is a way to present a message to somebody on your website in a way that focuses their attention. It's not necessarily embedded on the page, rather it stands out. And most importantly, a moment of focus offers a clear message, not several different ones with 20 different options, a clear message that's going to engage a visitor and encourage them to take one important action. For dealerships, for BDCs, for any of the people on this type of webinar, the important actions that we're typically talking about are conversions, are people giving you some type of information that you can then pull into your CRM and follow up with. It's very simple. We all know how the game goes. It's just a matter of playing it smart. Now, when compared to some of the other types of engagement we saw earlier, these fully focused type of site layovers that really bring in a moment of focus are going to outperform embedded messaging, the kind that appear as part of the page on your website, almost 10 to 1. So let's look at what this type of moment of focus could be. Here's a great example. Now, you'll notice the background is sort of blacked out, right? We're going to cover and we're going to really focus in on one offer, one type of offer, and all the other things, all the offers, and sometimes the chats and the text and this and that. All that is going to stay in the fuzz and stay in the blur, and your attention is now grabbed on this one offer. Moments of focus with this type of messaging and offer are supposed to be easy. They're supposed to be straightforward. Here's an example where there's one message and there's 3 fields. The button is obvious. It's clear what you want someone to do, and they're able to actually consider seriously converting, becoming somebody who's going to actually end up in your CRM and not just say, I can't deal with it. And if they wanted, I mean, this is the beauty of design that's intelligent and that's focused. If somebody wanted to say, no, thank you, then this type of engagement, these types of layovers have an easy dismissal. We're not here to trick anybody. We're not here to drag you into something you don't want to be a part of. A moment of focus is also something respectful, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But these types of offers are going to outperform things that are embedded, are going to outperform things that are sliding in and off, and sometimes things that get lost on the page because there is so much going on. So in addition to these moments of focus and the type of offers that not only send a clear message but grab someone's behavior, there's something else we need to consider, which is content, right? We've all heard about this as well the past few years, especially now in the automotive space. Content is going to be, it is already, but it is most certainly going to be one of the more important aspects of your website in 2017. It's important that we be able to provide as websites for dealers, for dealership websites who are catering to people who are coming to buy and research cars. We need to provide people with content because more and more people are using content to make buying decisions, to make purchasing decisions. And it's crucial that your website be a space where you can provide that because that's what they're looking for. It's not just a good price. It's not just a respectful site that has focused messaging, but it's content. And let's get into some of the examples that I mean here, which can draw people's attention and provide moments of focus that are actually quite valuable. So here's an example. Here's something that I want to dive into, right? I call this sort of the evocative content model. Now, evocative could mean several things for several types of buyers. I, for example, am very interested in comparative content. If I'm looking at a make or model, I want to be able to compare it with something else in the class or even across a different make to make sure that I'm making a good decision. I'm getting the most value. If you're price conscious, it's something that's going to enable you to make sure you're getting the best deal. There's some types of content that speak to people that are meant to excite you. They're meant to evoke emotions and excitement about a car, about that truck, about that vehicle you've been dreaming of, that purchase you've been saving up for. No matter the type of content, you want it to excite and you want it to engage your website visitors. So let's dive into this a little bit because I think it's important. Here is an example I'll show you again with a focused message and one that speaks to somebody who could be interested in safety. If done correctly, you can present content on your website that's targeted, and we'll speak more about this in a moment, that's targeted to the visitor's interest. And what's cool about presenting content like this, if somebody is looking at safety features, rather than having them leave your website and go to some third-party place where they may or may not get picked up by another lead capture form that could send them to a competitor's website. We've all seen that happen. Attribution goes all over the place. This is the type of engagement you could have on your website to keep someone on longer. Why should they have to leave if you're providing relevant content to the visitor? And the content can be short as long as it speaks to what they're looking for and what their interests are. There are several other types of content. This is something that, I mentioned earlier, exciting, evocative content. If you're looking at a truck and you're interested in several types of models and you are engaged with a video, everybody knows that video is becoming one of the most important ways, and certainly in 2017, one of the most important ways to engage your visitors. Having a video be available on your website that speaks to the model or speaks to the feature that this website visitor has obviously expressed interest in is invaluable. It makes your website a powerhouse. It adds a layer of value, and it really enriches the website experience for the visitor right then and there. And it's cool to be able to see a video. Not to mention, this is for another webinar, but I mean, this is going to be the type of content that can keep someone on your site longer, that could keep them looking at more pages, perhaps extend their session time. There are multiple benefits to engaging people with content, particularly video, that if relevant, if done correctly, can immensely increase some of the important metrics of your site's performance and the value it delivers to your visitors. That's what this is about. These are potential shoppers. So one of the ways you can make sure that these offers, these moments of focus, and this content actually does what it's supposed to is by making sure that it's personalized. And several tools exist. There are several platforms which offer this type of personalization, and our job is to make sure that whatever content, whatever offer, whatever we're putting out there on the website and engaging a visitor with, it's something that speaks to their interests. It's important that people aren't just shown random offers or random messaging on your website. How much better would somebody's experience be? How much more likely would they be to convert on some sort of lead capture form if you personalize the website experience? And you can do this if you know where they're coming from, if you're dynamically populating the content that they see. So this sophistication, this level is really the direction the industry is going in general, and it's something that I think is really important to keep in mind when you're creating or working with vendors who create for you content and offers and promotions that are meant to engage and convert your website visitors. Now, one of the things I mentioned earlier was, where are these website visitors coming from? Being able to actually follow all the way through. If Sally clicks on a Facebook ad from her phone and comes into your website, it only makes sense to engage them with an offer that provides a moment of focus, that's relevant and personalized and makes sense in terms of what she expected to see. She clicked on an offer, came to your site, and then having some sort of capture form or incentive appear, it follows that it would be logical for her to then see what she wanted, what she was interested in, something that's relevant to the make or model she was shopping for. So understanding your website visitors, knowing where they came from, being able to dynamically create and offer promotions or lead capture that speaks to them is going to make your website that much more efficient. It's going to make the time and energy and money that you invest into these things much more valuable. Leveraging the data that several platforms have available to them to present the right offers to the right people at the right time is, if you're not doing it already, something you seriously need to consider in this year, because it is, again, about bringing the focus to the website visitor, to their experience, and knowing what someone's interested in, how they came to your site, and what they may want to see in this session is going to set you apart from the competition. So another example of interesting and engaging content here is, it could be a video, it could be the comparison content that we spoke about earlier, but being able to take the next step and not just present what a person may have clicked in on or what page they're on right now, determining the content they see, but actually taking it one step further and providing them with the next logical step. You're on a Porsche site, let's say, you're interested in buying the Boxster, and you know that your visitor is up funnel. They may be an early stage buyer. They haven't yet decided if this is right for them, but they're quite interested. Providing content that speaks to that point in the buying cycle, in the buying stage, where they're at now, and offering them a piece of content that says, hey, it's only logical for you to compare us to the competition. I'm confident enough in our dealership, in our website, and in our vehicles to provide you with this comparison data. That's sort of like next level content that's going to enrich someone's experience. That's the thing that is going to set you aside, keep people on your website, and provide an experience that will hopefully lend itself to someone saying, if I get this on site, surely I will receive it in the showroom. So putting yourself in your visitor's shoes is really what this year and really any website experience should be about. Making sure that you understand these are people, these are shoppers, speaking to them personally, tailoring, providing relevant content, giving moments of focus are something that if you're not doing already, you really need to ask yourself if it's something that you can incorporate into your tools, into your strategy, into the things that you know are important for your website and for your strategy this coming year. So I would say two things. For the dealers listening out there, everyone has ghost shopped their site, either to check in on the performance of the BDCs that you work with, or simply to just be in that funnel, be in that experience, see what happens when someone's on your site. I would recommend doing the same thing with just ghost browsing, I will call it. Go to your website in incognito or in a private browsing session and take a look. Ask yourself, are you presenting targeted messaging on your website? Are you presenting personalized offers? Are your submission forms relevant, or are they the same for everybody all the time? Are you actually giving people content, or are you leaving a big hole that's going to drive them to another comparative site? And is your website providing the moments of focus that we spoke about earlier that are going to give someone reason for pause, to consider that offer, to consider that promotion, and of course encourage them to convert and become a lead that you can then follow up with? These moments of focus are valuable, and they need to be action-oriented. And lastly, I would say considering lead capture tools that are respectful, effective, and intelligent is something that is probably the best thing you can do for your website this year when it comes to dealership improvement. Looking for ways to improve the experience, improve your sales this year, boosting the effectiveness of the things you've already invested in. Respectful, like we said earlier, putting yourself in somebody's shoes. Would you want to shop on your website? Is it enjoyable, and is it effective? Is it drawing people into the stages and into the actions that you want them to be taking? So those are the things that I would say are really important to consider. And I will end by saying that Auto Lead Star is one of many platforms and technologies out there right now that can provide these types of solutions for your dealership, for your website. Smart, data-driven targeting is what's going to make the difference between you and your competitor. Making sure that you present branded, beautiful content that's relevant and lively and evocative, and of course, having the analytics that make sense, that are going to help you make better decisions about the traffic and about your website performance. For the dealers that are on here who would like a free demo, Auto Lead Star is happy to offer that with a 30-day money-back guarantee for the people on this webinar now. So thank you all very much. I would be very interested and eager to hear your questions. I think it's an important conversation that a lot of us are already having right now, and so thank you for your time, and please be in touch with us. We're happy to discuss and brainstorm with any of the dealers on the call here.
Okay, well, some great information. We're now in the question and answer portion of the webinar. Please feel free to submit your question to a question box to your right. Shaya is going to be available today and tomorrow anytime. Feel free to email her at sales@autoleadstar.com, and as well reach out to them at 216-242-1320. Shaya, we have a great question here. How can you optimize for this on mobile? Is there a way to implement moments of focus on mobile campaigns?
Absolutely. That's an important question, particularly with some of the new Google standards that are soon to take place in January, I believe on the 17th. I think that on mobile devices, tablets, but really we're talking about phones here, things that have a small screen, which more and more, if you're familiar with your analytics, more of your website traffic is coming to your dealership from their phone. And it's not just while they're at the dealership comparing pricing, but they're actually doing their research prior to that on their phones. I think that the question of presenting a moment of focus on a phone is crucial in underlying the point of respect. I think that making sure you have a targeted and relevant offer appear on somebody's phone is just as probably more important than on a screen, because on a screen it's easy to say no thanks, it's easy to dismiss, it's easy to get things out of the way that aren't relevant for you or that you're not interested in at the moment. And I feel like on mobile, people can sometimes, if it's not done correctly, if it's not relevant to the person, and definitely if it doesn't have an easy option to opt out, to say no or dismiss, it can be a disruptive and uncomfortable experience. So making sure that you have really high efficiency mobile targeting, that you have creative that's responsive, and of course compliant to these new Google standards is going to be key in making sure that the moment of focus you provide on a cell phone, on a mobile device, is just as effective as the one you can provide on a desktop. So the underlying points there are going to be personalization and content that's compliant and respectful of the user experience.
Thank you. It sounds like a great platform you guys have here. And we have a great question here, and this kind of opens up a new theme here. The person wants to know, is it approved for dealer.com since they have Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram as the OEM site? And if you guys could touch a little bit on compliance and maybe other OEMs you guys have some kind of relationship with?
We've worked with several different OEMs, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, we definitely, Auto Leadstar works with, and I can tell you that every OEM has their own brand and their own voice, and the content, the offers, the things that we offer our clients are always on point and branded and compliant with whatever the OEM is. We basically, the thing about our technology, and really any of the tools that you should really be considering and looking at, is that it needs to be able to be flexible and work with, I say agnostic. I mean, we need to make sure that the tools you're using are going to work with whatever website provider you have in place and whatever CRM that you guys have in place. Auto Leadstar is one of many technologies out there that we're agnostic in that sense. We can work with several different types of platforms, and then of course within the branding and compliance of several different OEMs. That's sort of like the best combination there, making sure that whatever tools you're using, if you decide to switch, your website provider one day, or if your OEM says, hey, guess what, this is what we're doing, that you have the flexibility with the tools and services that you're currently signed up for, or the ones that you want to add on, to be able to do that. We do that. Several other, lead capture and lead provider tools should be able to do that as well.
Perfect. So you guys do work with dealer.com?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Sounds good. We have another question here. What kind of content have you found to keep visitors on the page for the longest?
So I find video, I mean, there's a lot of research right now being done, not just in the automotive space, but across, several different industries. Video is really something that captures someone's attention, and it keeps them, at least for the duration of the video. And that's been highly effective when shopping for cars, because there's now awesome content online that the OEMs are putting out. I mean, there's entire channels, Ford, Chevy. I mean, everyone has this wonderful, rich content online. And rather than sending someone to YouTube or sending someone to Vimeo or having them leave your site to go back to the OEM site, presenting this awesome content that you have access to on the dealership website is just like an awesome bonus for somebody who's sitting on your site and who wants to learn about this particular feature or this particular model. Showing the right video at the right time, that extends people's time on site. That's really gotten some great results with the content that we use. And I know for several other dealership sites, it's gone from can we show beautiful videos, is our gallery full of lots of pictures, to how can we incorporate video. So I think that's the direction that a lot of people are going in. A lot of sites are seeing work very well for them. Video, and then to be more specific about other types of content, I think that comparative content is powerful. It's confident. And it's what people are going to look for anyway if you don't provide it. I don't know many buying decisions that are made these days without that. Anything you buy on Amazon is going to have some sort of comparative review. It's only natural for someone to want to be able to say, well, how does A compare to B? So comparative content, whether that's a graphic or in writing somehow, even better if it's a video, is powerful, and it performs well.
Perfect, perfect. A great strategy and a great product. I've seen the demo of it. I encourage dealers to do the same. Contact them at sales@autoleadstar.com. Give them a call, 216-242-1320. Like I said, it's a great product. Give them a call. They'll be able to price out any dealership anytime. We have another question here. How do you incorporate these new rules with the engagement we already have in place on our website?
So I believe somebody is talking about new rules with regard to the mobile experience, the mobile parameters that Google is sort of cracking down on in the new year. If that is what this is in reference to, then there are several ways to make sure that the offers and promotions and the things that you show on mobile devices are relevant and obviously compliant. All of AutoLeadStar's mobile content and offers are compliant, and it's something that isn't just being driven by Google or some other sort of like taskmaster out there. It's something that is just common sense, and whether or not it's the carrot or the stick, I think that respecting the user experience, like I said earlier, is it's good practice. We're there as a platform, and I know several others are as well. If you're already using lead capture on your website or want to enhance it and make sure that it's also compliant, then there's several really good websites and blogs and things out there. I mean, you can easily Google compliant sort of like content-driven strategies. I'm happy to share some with anybody and sort of brainstorm it after this if someone wants to shoot us an email. But I think that at this point, it's well known what the minimum criteria is. What's not well known is how to make it effective and beautiful and still maintain the voice of the dealership and the brand, and also the experience of the visitor. And that's sort of where we're building our niche.
Perfect. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email them again at sales@autoleadstar.com. Give them a call, 216-242-1320. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar. And again, thank you, AutoLeadStar and Shaya over at AutoLeadStar, and for some great content today. To view this webinar on demand and feature digital dealer webinars, please visit digitaldealer.com/webinars. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you all.